Hello and welcome to another Wolfie's Way tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to animate an animal head turn. Part 1 will be about a 90-degree head turn, where the animal is facing forward and turns to look towards the side. In Part 2 of this tutorial, I'll be continuing this video and animating a 360-degree turn, where the animal's head goes all the way around and doesn't stop spinning. Tidbit is my example animation, but to teach you I'll be using this other character named Thrill. Before I start doing anything though, I just want to remind you that my comment section is a great place to ask me questions. If any part of this tutorial is confusing, comment down below and I'll get back to you. You can drop some tutorial recommendations as well, and they might be my next video. Alright, let's get this tutorial started. The first thing you need to do is draw your character. Whatever animal or creature they are, they should be sitting forward in this frame. Both of their eyes, or however many they have, need to be maintaining eye contact with you. When drawing them, make sure to put the head on a separate layer than the body. Thrill's head is the only thing I'm animating, so I don't want to accidentally mess up the body's line art while working on my animation. I also did my coloring on that layer, so my animation's line art wouldn't mingle with the fur designs and get messy. Now that you have a character ready, here's step 2. You need to make lines in the background for you to draw and animate on. Let me show you what these lines look like. When animating Tidbit, I made lines that match the features of their face. Look at the chin and this line here. Each line you see matches up with a specific feature of Tidbit's face, which I'll label on screen. Watch how, as Tidbit turns, the features stick to their respective lines. If you stick to your guidelines as you animate, you can predict how your animal looks on every frame. Now that you know what the guidelines should look like, we need to make some specifically for our characters. I recommend that you use a ruler tool or some sort of rectangular shape, so the lines that you make stay straight. I'm using a rectangle so I can knock out 2 lines at once, and I'll be doing this on my background layer. I'm going to temporarily hide the midground layer so I can put these lines directly under the facial features that they belong to. I'll have 6 lines total, like Tidbit did. You can use more or less lines if you want. This is just the amount that I found to be helpful. Everything seems to be lining up, so I'm going to move on to step 3. It's time to draw Thrill facing the side, specifically in the right direction. The guidelines we just established are going to really help, especially if you aren't comfortable with drawing side-facing animals yet. On a new frame, copy the body over but don't copy the head. We're going to be drawing a new head anyway, so the top layer should be empty. I'm going to hide the midground layer over here again because I just want to see the head in my onion skin. Make sure you have onion skin turned on so you can see the front-facing position on this new frame. If you don't know how to draw your animal facing the side, follow along with my drawing process. I'll be drawing one detail at a time to make things a little easier to follow. The first thing I'm going to do is draw the fur on this side of the face. I'm just redrawing what I see on the onion skin, then cropping it and moving it rightward. I'm moving it about 1 eyebrow over, so nothing too far, but it's definitely a distance that's noticeable. Now I'm going to crop it again and give it a bit of a stretch. The fur should appear wider now that it is closer to us. Just trace over this eye, move it rightward, and give it a tiny stretch too. It should be placed somewhere around the onion skin for the animal's left eye. Since the animal is facing rightward, the left eye is not in view, so we do not need to draw it. Right where the fur ends, I'm making a straight line for the underside of the snout. Dog-like animals typically have longer snouts, so I think this is a good length. The next part of the snout is pretty easy. Just draw from the chin up to the nose guideline. Use these 2 guidelines when deciding how to top your snout. You need a line that starts on the nose and ends around the eye. For the forehead, I went to the guideline over here and drew down to the snout. It showed that my snout was a little off, so I did some edits. The changes made sense for the Thrill I was imagining in my head, so I carried on. Thrill has fangs and a somewhat neutral expression, so I should only show half of it on this side of the face. Look at the guidelines that intersect the onion skin here. Whatever you draw on this frame should intersect the same guidelines, and that will prevent you from making the fur change in shape or size. Finally, we can draw the ears. Imagine what shape the ears are, and how they would look if you could turn them in your hands. I need to make my ears face the right side, and point them in that direction. The insides of the ears should be favored on the side turned closer to you. My side-facing position has all of its features drawn. Now I just need to make sure they look right, so I'm going to flash between my two frames. If you look at your two frames and feel like something is off on one of them, try adjusting some of the lines. I think the ear on my side-facing position has gotten too big, for example, so I'm going to redraw it a little differently. I'm happy with the side-facing position now, so I'm going to look at step 4. This step is where the animation starts. We need to make 2 in-between frames. So just copy your side-facing position, put it in between your 2 main frames, and erase the head. This will soon be our first in-between frame. For your reference, this is main frame 1, and this is main frame 2. We need 2 in-between frames total, so I'm going to duplicate this missing head frame here. These are the frames that we need to draw new heads on. Onion skin is going to be essential here, so you can see what needs to be drawn and how it can be turned towards the right side. If you know how to make some solid in-between frames already, feel free to do it on your own and meet me at the next step. For this first in-between frame, I'm going to focus more on the onion skin of main frame 1. This in-between frame is closer to main frame 1 than main frame 2, so I should keep the drawing similar to the front-facing position. To start, I'm just redrawing the side fur and moving it rightward slightly. Make sure you check the side-facing position so you don't get too close to the end destination. As you can see, this frame's fur is moved only a smidge rightward. Next is the dominant eye. Redraw it as well and move it just a tiny bit closer to main frame 2's onion skin. The snout can be really difficult to position, so I want you to use the nose as a base point. I'm going to put the nose right next to main frame 1's onion skin, which gives the impression that the head is only just starting to turn. Now connect the rest of the snout based on the guidelines. If you're not sure where to put the top of the snout, take a moment to draw the other eye. Move the eye rightward and squish it a bit. It should be getting tighter as the head turns away. The mouth can be based off of the nose, and everything else should be drawn with the onion skin in mind. Definitely be careful when doing this other side of the face. You don't want the fur to shrink. You just want it to become less visible as it turns away. Give the top of the head some turn, and draw the ears close to main frame 1. The insides of the ear can be kind of opened up as they turn. This in-between frame is technically done, but it looks a little stiff to me. I feel like I should redraw it a little more comfortably. So I'm going to duplicate this frame, erase the head on the new one, and hide the guidelines. In this new frame, I'm just going to redraw the line art. This is meant to show you that you don't need to stick to the lines 100% of the time, especially if you feel like it's limiting your style. Alright, I've redrawn the frame. I like the new one better, so I'm going to delete the original in-between frame and move the new one over. In-between frame 2 is the next one up. It's going to be the same process as last time, only now we'll be paying more attention to the onion skin of main frame 2. We'll start by drawing the side fur in the onion skin. This time it can be moved closer to main frame 2, and slightly stretched. Next is the dominant eye. Move it over some, practically in the middle of the eyes you see in the onion skin. Then do the nose in the middle as well, and base your snout off of it. The left eye needs to be really close to disappearing, since it doesn't exist on main frame 2. One side of the mouth needs to disappear as well, since the snout is turning away. Everything else that you need to draw should be in the middle of the onion skin. The ears, for example, are almost entirely turned now. All of my frames are done, so let's see what Thrill's head turn looks like. As Thrill looks to the right, I notice some things I could edit. The left ear gets a little bumpy, and the fur on this side of the face isn't very consistent. I'm going to take a moment to make things smoother, and I recommend that you scrutinize your animation and clear any inconsistencies if you can. If you're not sure how to fix something, you can try moving the feature around or redrawing it differently. That's basically what I did to fix both of the problems that I circled. I moved the ear a little bit more, and then made it sharper. For the side fur problem, I just redrew it on the frames when it got wonky. Everything else was just nitpicking. This feels smoother than before, so I feel ready to move on to the next step. You don't have to color your animation if you don't want to. In that case, you're basically done, so congrats. Coloring can be a lengthy process to get right, so I'm going to show you one of my frames being colored and give you tips as I go. Alright, the biggest hack I can give you is to just copy a design and paste it over. This will only work for designs that are turnable, if that makes sense. I can copy and paste the eyes, for example, but not so much the teeth markings due to their complexity. Designs tend to change as animals turn because you're seeing only parts of them. Just make sure that when you are copying a design over, you move it rightward slightly or position it to match the head turn on whatever frame you are doing. If you need to animate complex designs, like Thrill's mouth things, count all of the individual details and make sure you have put down the right amount. Thrill has 11 teeth markings on each side of their face, so on every frame from here on out, I will draw that number. That was one frame's worth of tips. So let me flash forward to when all of my frames have been colored already. I'll play the animation slowly so you can see what all of the coloring looks like. Now, you can sit back and call it a day if you wish. By now, you would have a 4-frame long, colored head turn. It's done. However, I have a bonus step for you that isn't necessary, but it may add a little life to your head turn. On a new frame, redraw main frame 2. This would total your animation to 5 frames, and it only takes a second to do. Adding this settling frame, as I call it, may make your head turn calmer. As is, Thrill looks to the side and stops suddenly. This settling frame makes Thrill turn and settle into that position, because the animation ends on the same frame twice. Now my animation and tutorial is finally completed. I hope this tutorial helped you, and do let me know in the comments how you're feeling. This might take a couple tries to get right, but I believe in you and I'm always here to help. And don't forget, this is just part 1 of my tutorial. If you want to turn your 90-degree animation into a 360-degree one, a part 2 will be coming out soon. Anyways, it was nice talking to you, and I hope to talk to you again in another video. In the meantime, stay safe and have a nice rest of your day. Bye!